Okay, Bismillah, we'll restart. Firstly, just to be clear, I did go through some of these points very quickly, okay? Even the cosmological, there's a lot more detail to it, but I will send sheets and other types of explanations with the PowerPoint so people can go through it in their own time, okay? The rest of the points I'm going to go through. I'm not going to spend so long on it, okay? We'll spend a little less time and we'll try to just get through inshallah most of the content in the next 30 minutes or so. So just bear with me until then, inshallah we'll finish by then, okay? So we've said that there are different ways to get someone to think about his hadaf fil haya, his purpose in life. Then we want to show that it's important that we answer where we came from and what is the purpose of this life. And to do this, we have to answer the question of, does God exist? After we've proven this, we then move into the Quran. Okay? Now the Quran, معجزة في اللغة أنتم أحسن مني بكثير. Yeah? So, in terms of the language, the miracle in the language, yeah? من شعره وليس الشعر وليس النثر وهذا الشيء أنتم تعرفون أكثر مني. ماشي؟ أنا درست بعض الأشياء فيه لكن ليس بالدقة. Okay? So I've gone for certain linguistic miracles, okay? But I think in terms of the access of the language, the local population should take more advantage because you already know Arabic very well, okay? But what I'm going to go through is just a simple, rational proof, okay? So, simple rational proof that we want to prove with the Quran is that it is not possible that a man could recreate this Quran in the same form or meet the challenge. Okay? So the challenge of the Quran, مسابقة من القرآن. أولا كان هذا الكتاب مثلي بعده هذا كان السور 10 سور بعده سورة. Okay? So this challenge of the Quran, it lays a very simple foundation. It says, come with a book like it. If you cannot, come with 10 chapters like it. If you can't come with 10 chapters, come with 1 chapter like it. Mr. Surah Al-Kawthar is only 3 ayat. Okay? Now, this is based on consensus of scholars in the field of Arabic. Okay? So they agree on certain basic points. Okay? One is the Arabs at the time of the Quraysh, okay, were the best in the Arabic language. Yes? Agreed? Okay, that's one. Number 2, okay, is it is proven that Arabic has gone through something called a linguistic deterioration. Linguistic deterioration means كثرة بتدمير وانحطاط فيه. Yeah? So it's gone through regression, yeah? It's gone weaker, ضعفا. So this is the second point. Number 3, we know that none of the Arabs at the time of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they did not meet the challenge of the Quran. So we know that this was also accepted. Okay? No one claims now, okay, this man from Quraysh met the challenge of the Quran. Yeah? Not even Al-Fil, yeah? So we know that the challenge was not met of the Quran. Now, we've said that the language has got weaker, okay? And even the Quran itself, we can say that if it can't be made by man, which all the scholars of Arabic agree upon, yeah? That no one has made anything like it. Everyone with me so far? Then, we can say, or we can question, there are maybe a few different possibilities. Okay? من كان معالج للقرآن. Okay? Was it Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Was it an Arab? Yeah? أي أحد من العرب؟ Or أي أحد من غير العرب? Oh? If it says none of these 3, which we'll go through one by one, then we have to say that it has to have come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So the first one is a very simple point. Was it by a non-Arab? I'll go through this one first. The non-Arab, we say it's pretty much impossible. Why? Because the Arabs were the best at the language, And therefore, if someone did reach the peak of the language at any way, shape, point, or form, etc., it would have been known amongst the Arabs, and any work hasn't been recorded, recollected, etc. And also, even the interaction between the Arabs and other nations, etc., was known, documented, formalized. Okay? So, there was no claims of any non-Arab, and we also know that the Arabs were the best. So we can move this one to the side. Okay? Have a mission. Then we have two categories left. Did Muhammad ﷺ write the Quran? Okay? Or was it one of the Arabs? So now firstly we can say that with the speech of Muhammad ﷺ, no one in the whole of Arab history has ever said that there is a similarity between the speech of the Prophet ﷺ and the Quran. هذا شيء وهذا شيء. Okay? And there's not been any recorded instance where the Prophet ﷺ, okay, has overlapped. Yeah? كان خلط بينهما بين كلامه وبين القرآن. Okay? And putting aside, like, you know, what's the book? Salman Rushdie. That's been refuted and stuff, yeah? Put that to aside, but the key thing is that there's never been a mix between the two speeches. So we can say that the speech of the Prophet ﷺ was distinct, and the Quran was distinct, and the Quran is the one that we're looking to measure if anyone else has created anything like it. Okay? Then we go to the Arabs. And even Muhammad ﷺ is part of the Arabs. Okay? We know there were attempts, okay? But we know by a specific, simple, objective, how do you say objective? موضوعي. Yeah? دول احنا ندعو فرقان وبأفكار موضوعية نحن نعرف لا يوجد أي أحد من العرب من كان يفوز في هذه المسابقة. Okay? So this is why I said it's a very simple, rational proof, but it's probably the easiest and the simplest. Why? Because you're using the consensus إجماع بين النحاة وعلماء العرب. Okay? On two things. That the Quran, nothing similar to it was produced, and the fact that the challenge was not met at the time of the Arabs, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. If it was not met when the Arab was at the best, then it is not going to be met when the language is weaker. Make sense? Yeah? So we're saying that if we agree that the Arab and the ulama across the world, even in the modern day, we get Arab scholars from the West, if they agree that nothing like the Quran has been produced, when the Arab was at its best at the time of the Quraysh, then we say that because of a linguistic deterioration in the Lugha, it will not happen in the future. Okay? So that's just a very simple thing you can give without going into details of the language and details of how things work. Okay? Another thing you can use to reinforce this is by simply stating that if I give you a language, okay? Now in Shakespearean English in the UK, we have something which Shakespeare, ever heard of William Shakespeare? Yeah? He has something famous called his sonnet. Okay? So sonnet is his style of speech. Yeah? So if you read this, you know, okay, this was from Shakespeare. Okay? Okay, okay? So even in English, if someone has all the words of the English language, okay, they have all the grammar, they have all the punctuation, they have all the different terminology, they've got the whole history of Arabic or English history, of linguistics and literacy, etc. They can produce something like Shakespeare. Yeah? But this is against what's said about the Quran. And this is what we would use as a general consensus, that the challenge was not met then now, and it will not be met anywhere in the future. Is that okay? I don't want to overcomplicate this proof of Quran, but for a person that comes to you, going through the details of the Arabic language with him, a lot of times, yeah, he doesn't have an appreciation unless he studied it himself. Okay? So you have to discuss things which everyone agrees upon. Okay? And I'll send some references and stuff. There's many scholars from the West and from the East who agree on these premises. Okay? So use that as your simple basis and say these are things which are not differed upon. Okay? And that's probably the simplest way to present it going forward. You can also talk about elements in the Quran. You can talk about historic miracles, yeah? You know, who was Haman, yeah? Certain stories of different civilizations that existed, okay? And then you can also talk about science. The only problem I have with science is science buniyat ala dhann, yeah? So if you use science, we're looking at the layers. So if we use science to prove the Quran, if science changes, does this mean the Quran was wrong? Does that make sense? Yeah? So a lot of people use a lot of science and history, etc. But if we find that some of these things change, then it becomes a problem for us. Okay? And therefore, I would personally recommend, historically maybe more so, but I would say stick to language and the rational side to prove the miracle, and don't necessarily go into the science. But once you've gone through the basic proof, then using some of the parts of science, using some of the parts of history to reinforce the third with the thought, and then is that okay? Cool. The final point about the Quran is phone. Okay? So, phone. I don't know if anyone remembers the first phone that came out. So in the UK, the first phone that came out was about this size. Okay? And you go to the library, hello! Hello! There she. Yeah? This big. What's happened to phones as time has developed? Technology has bettered. Okay? And the size of phones have gone smaller. There's more memory, faster processor, better screen quality, streaming internet gets better, 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 better. Every single thing about human beings we find gradually gets better. But this is the opposite with the Quran. And the reason why I can make a better phone, if I go to Samsung, they give me all the different parts of the phone, and they give me all the instructions on how to build it. I should be able to do it myself. This is impossible with the Quran. And again, language, even in like arts and other things, should normally follow a pattern where it gets better. But we don't find that is the case with the Quran. So all of these things can be used to reinforce. I would start with the rational, because I feel that language and these things are too heavy for a non-Muslim to start with. Okay? And then you can use some of the history, the science and other things to reinforce. Okay? But don't make that the proof, because if they change or something is disproven, then they will say that means the Quran is wrong. Yeah? And we know that if we've misunderstood, if something comes out and we know it's definite from reality, then and there's something contradictory in the Quran, then it means that we've misunderstood the Quran. It's not that the Quran is wrong. Okay? So that's the general principle to go by. Other ways you can prove the Quran, you can go for obviously the different proofs that we mentioned, and I'll send some of the leaflets with that. Final thing on this topic is post-Quran. So now we've proven purpose of life. You have to question, you need to attain happiness. Where did I come from? What is my purpose? We've established that in the Quran, and that is where you're going to focus your discussion. It's going to answer the last question, where are you going after you die? And this is where we'll go into it in the next part, but there will be a quick discussion which you'll have with the person to show them, okay, now by accepting this, if you believe it to be the truth, it comes with certain consequences, but it also requires certain things from you. Okay? And this is where you can go through different points of discussion. Where are we here? So you go through life after death, you go through, is the person going to accept it or are they going to reject it? Heaven, hell, what is good and bad, now we know. Purpose, are you going to spread it? Happiness, tranquility, etc. So these discussions are what you would have after you proved the concept of Islam. Everyone okay with me on that? Okay. Put people to sleep, I apologize. Okay? Final points on this, okay, is you may have a very short time with the person, okay? The person is going past this, or you can have a person that comes up to you and says, beard. One. Yeah? So you've got two opportunities. If someone asks you a question, key thing to just simply say, I think there's a big focus you'll find in like Iera and stuff, they'll make a big focus and just simply say to them and say, okay, for you to really appreciate why I've grown a beard, because it's a very good question, I'd have to explain to you the concepts of Islam. Or, I'd have to explain to you certain points for you to understand why I've grown this beard. Okay? And that is your set question for any quick question if someone doesn't have time to stay. Okay? If they do have time to stay, you can go for the full proof. And if someone is just grabbing a leaflet, if you have a good theme for the stall, it is very good. Why? Because you can just leave them with a single point. Okay? Okay, someone's not interested, all they hear is, what's your goal in life? Okay? Someone's not interested, okay? What happens to you after you die? Okay? But it might also happen where you say, what's your goal in life? He goes, don't really care. Okay? So if you've got different times, think about your different strategy. Okay? Quick leaflet, quick question. Okay? What's going to happen to you after you die? Have you thought about the truth? Do you want happiness? Quick questions. If someone asks you a question, you can have a little more time to explain it. And then if someone's willing to sit down or stay, then you can go through the full discussion. Okay? And even the leaflet that you give, make sure it's something for the person, not just for the sake of giving the leaflet. So if someone's Christian, okay, Trinity. Okay? If someone is an atheist, okay, proof of God. Is that okay?
Get back to my question. Because I see that this argument is basically more fitting with atheist people and agnostics, other than people of the book like the Christians or the Jews. I think proving the idea of God is not relevant to them, unlike atheist people who are agnostic. So obviously you have at that point to understand the concept of Trinity as to the huge effect.
No, but exactly, very, very true point. Just because someone wants to understand Islam doesn't mean you take them from start to finish. Someone may have already accepted I need to worship God. Someone may have already accepted God exists, and they may have a different issue that you need to address. And that's something which I'll come on to just in the next point as we move on from this. Just to let you know, this is the main chunk done. The rest of it should be a bit quicker, inshallah. Okay? This is just an important point at the bottom, which I wrote, and I think it is quite an important point because a lot of people say, I don't have a lot of practice with discussion. I'm new to the stall. I don't know what to discuss. What am I going to do if he says this? Okay? A very good way of practicing is go onto Facebook groups. Ex-Muslims. Okay? It could be intellectual discourse. It could be proofs of God. It could be science in the modern day. There are so many Facebook groups. There are things on Twitter you can access. There is a website called Iera. Has anyone heard of Iera? Iera, even in the West, is very common. And even people in academia get involved. Okay? These are very good chances for you to practice your discussions. And you don't have to worry about what the guy's thinking, because he doesn't see you, he doesn't know who you are. Just put a name that you're Mr. X, okay? And just practice the conversation, practice your discussions, so when it comes to real life, you're a lot more prepared with your conversation. Okay? And these are very good things for dawah as well. Obviously, it doesn't mean, and it also allows you, that if you have a question that you're unsure about, it will make you go back, research, and then come back, and you can go through the discussion properly. Is that okay? So try to use all of these types of things. And another thing you'll see, I don't think you want to do it around English, you'll probably end up in a prison, but UK newspapers. Go to a UK newspaper, Guardian, Daily Mail, Sun, go to American news, Sky News, go to Reuters, CNN, etc. Go to these websites, open an article, and if you make an account, you can make a comment in the comment section, and you will find lots of discussion back and forth. Utilize these opportunities. إصلاح هذه الفرص لكي تمارس وتتعود على الحوار والمناقشة والمناظرة. Yeah. I was going to play the video, but I'll just play one bit, inshallah. Yeah. This I'm not going to spend too long on. Literally 2 minutes. Number one is engaging. Okay. Maintain eye contact with the person. Yeah. If you're speaking to me and I'm like this, yeah. You can be talking all you want. It doesn't show I'm very interested. Okay? So, someone speaking to you, maintain eye contact. Doesn't mean go like this. Yeah?
You want something?
I'm saying, don't go into someone's private space. Doesn't mean, obviously, make it uncomfortable. And obviously, if it's a male with a female, you're going to be a bit more conscious, of course. But, maintain eye contact. Friendly eye contact. Drop your gaze at times. Raise your gaze. But just try to make sure the person feels that when they're speaking, you're with them. Okay? If you're discussing with someone, I know people are very eager to speak, and I know I've spoken for about 5 hours today already, but let the person speak as much as they can. If you can get them to speak, that is better for you. Why? Because you know what's holding them back. You know what they're thinking about life. You know what matters to them. So if you allow them to speak as much as they can, you will find that that is more important than you speaking. You can speak for 1 hour and not get anywhere, but if they give you key information, you can have a 5-minute discussion and find progress. Okay? The key thing, allow them to speak as much as you can. That is brilliant for you, because you get more and more information on what to discuss. Okay? If they mention a point, well, I'm just going to go for the one before this. If they mention a point about their family, okay, you know family is important to them. Build your conversation upon family, okay? Someone's just talking about making money, okay, living a good lifestyle. Build your conversation upon what? Living a good lifestyle. Look at the pop stars, actors, movie stars, etc. And build your conversation upon, do we find sakina within them? Yeah? So, try to find points that they mention to be able to build your conversation. Don't try to just come from yourself, I just want to go for this. Find out what they're thinking, and you want to take out, and then put in. Okay? Sense what can make them uncomfortable. This has 2 sides. Certain topics make a person, you can generally tell from their conversation with them, certain things they don't want to go into. Okay? Don't push too hard. Okay? Don't make someone feel uncomfortable. But at the same time, say for example, someone has a parent that passes away, or a very good friend. They might say, if this God was true and he was just, my dad wouldn't have passed away. So that could also be the factor that's stopping them from accepting God. So try to play it, but to make sure you don't make them feel too uncomfortable. But sometimes building your conversation even on that can be important. Okay? Following the conversation. Again, like I said, talking too much isn't always good. Sometimes a brief conversation followed by exchange of details can be better. Okay? State how much you've enjoyed speaking to them. Yeah? Yeah? And when you ask for contact details, okay, try to do it in a very, very general way. The first means is that, shall we exchange? This is the first point that you start with. Okay? That is the best ideal situation. We exchange Facebook, we exchange Twitter, we exchange email, we exchange numbers. That's number 1. Okay? If he's doesn't want to, yeah? Which is. Then, next point is, do you want to take mine? My Twitter, my contact, my email, etc. And I know, Abdul said you've got some good cards that have been made here, where you can hand it over. That's your next point of contact, okay? The third one, which I think is another thing that you can do, is sometimes, person to person, unless you're very confident, getting contact details can be quite difficult, yeah? So, a good thing that you can have is just have sheets of paper at the stall ready, okay? And all you do is you simply have printed name, email, number, okay? And just take it over to him and just say, look, we hold lots of different events around Egypt, we'd love to be able to help you, and if you just jot down an email or jot down a phone number and we can follow through with contacts, okay? So utilise things like that as well. You'll find it a lot easier with people that are a bit hesitant, okay? And if it's a female, the last thing she wants to do is find a random guy and give him the number, unless she's from the West, okay? So, closing on that, explain other activities that you're involved in. So some of the brothers actually, Abdullah, a few of us mentioned that sometimes when you have someone coming to Egypt, you offer to take them on a tour. Yeah? free tour into specific areas, to the certain parts that only the locals know about, entice them to get that second meeting. Okay? And even better than exchanging contact details is agreeing a time to meet before you even take a number. Because then straight away we'll want to give you the number. Okay? If he doesn't seem interested, provide as many avenues as possible: Facebook, email, Instagram, phone, and even after that, I don't know if you're on Instagram, Snapchat, and these types of things, but have everything available, because you don't know what someone might contact you through. And then offer local services for help. Okay? Don't worry, we're getting to the end. Inshallah.
Okay.
So, media prejudgments. Again, we're not going to spend too long on this. Media prejudgments. We are not individuals that live on our own. Okay? All of us are affected. Okay? So we're all affected by the thoughts in the society around us. This is why in the UK, you may have, okay, many traditional people that actually don't accept, even things like we were having the conversation about homosexuality. You will speak to a lot of people that do not accept homosexuality. But would they openly speak against it?
No.
No, because there is a big public pressure, Dr. Mujtama. So if this person spoke about it, they'll say, you'll get a lot of pressure, especially if it's an imam of a mosque. Okay, if there's a Muslim in the community, these people are anti-this and they're anti-LGBT, and they'll get a lot of pressure from the media. So people, even though they may disagree with it, he will not verbally state it. Okay? So because of this, don't always think that everyone holds the same ideas that they get in the media from the West. Okay? Like we said, best to listen first. Really ask them, what have you heard about Islam? Actually ask them, what have you heard? Do you know any Muslims? That's always a good point. Do you have any Muslims living in your local area? Do you have a local mosque that you visit, that you've ever been to, etc.? Use it to your advantage. One nice thing about the media, and probably why probably a high percentage of Muslims have been successful in dawah post 9/11, is because many people were intrigued by, wait, what's this religion? What's it talking about? Okay? What would lead someone to do such an atrocity? So people take it on themselves to want to research, read about Islam, and you should use that as an advantage. So if someone has lots of ideas from media, or have been affected by it, that's a good thing for you, because it means they have 10 more questions that they need answered. Okay? Also understand, the media is always going to give a different viewpoint to Islam. Okay? Fundamentally have differences, they have a dislike for certain elements, etc. So be tactful, think about it, be compassionate with the person, and know that he's just a result of living in a certain society. Because if you're constantly just hearing the same thing, eventually you'll think, maybe it's true. Okay? Final thing, hermeneutics. Hermeneutics sounds like a funky word, yeah? But all it means is, I'm going to give you a simplistic way, if I try to look at Islam with Western lens, okay? So as an example, living in the West, and I hope this recording doesn't go outside here, but even living in the West, okay? So for a male, obviously in Islam, the all-right, forget going into ikhtilaf, but the all-right generally from the sunnah down to the drop out of the knee, okay? And in between.